9:45 a.m. on this 4th of July Saturday morning. Oh, let's go ahead and enjoy some Skyworks. Not necessarily fireworks, but some Skyworks, right? Yeah, I've been showing it this morning already, right? So there's not even a break on a so-called holiday, but of course, you know, you don't celebrate a ton of false narratives, misinformation, and disinformation over a country's history. I had to shut off the idiot box because of the narratives that are being thrown out there. So foolish, so idiotic. 250 years since the founding of this country. BS. Such utter BS. And I've been showing this right along. Oh, now we got the scare tactic of the communists are coming. The communists are coming. We got to keep socialism alive. We got to keep the corporate powers alive. We got to keep the military industrial complex kicking. Yeah, let's celebrate warfare. Yeah, that's what we're doing. People just don't realize it. And when it comes down to the founding of this country, no, Christopher Columbus did not find this country. The country's always been here. There's been many civilizations that have been here. You know, I've been eagerly anticipating for a very long time to come out with a special presentation pertaining to the 1804 Lewis and Clark expedition, of which much of that story has been covered up, hidden, and not fully explained. You know, there's a reason why Lewis and Clark, as they traveled westward, and I won't even go into great detail, but they had only one instance, one circumstance to where there was an issue with the indigenous tribes, or otherwise referred to as the Native American Indians. The savages, as we have been always programmed to see these indigenous peoples as being. According to the story, Sacagawea was the pivoting point of keeping peace amongst these travelers and these indigenous tribes. That is false. The reason for this is because, well, for one, just like hundreds of years before that expedition took place, there were other expeditions with men bearing red crosses on their chests, known as the Knights Templar. Lewis and Clark was set on an expedition to retrace the tracks and travels of the Knights Templar. Hidden treasures. Christopher Columbus sailed under the Red Cross. He was given maps, charts, to find his way here, right? Well, those maps or charts would not have been in existence if travels had not already occurred and taken place once before. The Indians, or those indigenous people of which Lewis and Clark encountered, were not peaceful through Sacagawea and her translating of languages. Of course, there was someone else that was also involved in the so-called translation of languages. But no, it was because all they had to do was show a red cross, because the Indians, the indigenous peoples, had been encountered by these Knights Templar once before. And there was already treaties established and set up between these early Europeans and the indigenous tribes here. Oh, I can prove all of this through that journal and that much more. So today's celebrations, in my eyes, is a farce, an embarrassment to the real histories of this country. And remember, through the narratives of today, whenever they bring up the country and patriotism, it is all about, look at this, it is all about patriotism to your government, not to the country. I love this country. I love the lands. I love the scenic beauties of this country. But I cannot accept, I never have been able to accept the government and their false narratives. Ever since early on in school, I started skipping classes and going to our school library, if not even skipping school altogether and hanging out down at the public library where I did my own research. And I started doing this very early on in age. And you know what? Everything still holds firm. I have reprogrammed myself from much of what was brainwashed into me at such an early age, not just through school, but through religion, through church, and the nonsense of all of that. The World's Fair, or the State Fair, or whatever it is. I mean, today, Washington, D.C. is a joke. It's an entertainment center. I mean, UFC fights, a fair. Of course, this is all property controlled through the park services. Yeah. The Capitol, the White House, and the grounds. It's a park. Okay? Controlled through the park services. I'm seeing, I don't know if I'm picking any of this up, but yeah. I had a feeling this would be a kind of a crazy day for sky observations, but of course we've been having some very crazy sky observations regardless. What kind of skies are these, huh? Oh, I guess it's time that we come out with some more new terms, definitions, labels, and names for so many new clouds that are being observed today. Now remember, now Google is even stating that these contrails create artificial clouds. Okay? Well, I can hear the sounds of an aircraft. Of course, applying just that much more. Yeah, there's just no way of seeing that with all this camouflage. Yeah, what do we call this stuff here? Huh? What is this? Well, there's no names for this. No meteorological terms for this stuff here. I guess we need to figure something out for that. No, there's nothing funky or strange about this right here, neither. Not at all. This is all normal, right? Normal to see this in the direction of east and west, and all of this north and south. Yeah, nothing strange or abnormal about that, is there? No, contrails don't affect the sky at all. Not whatsoever. So if you believe that, then go ahead and believe in all the rest of the BS narratives out there. Listen to your government. Listen to your doctors. Listen to your preachers. Be compliant. Accept anything that the government tells you to do. Be afraid of your neighbors, stranger danger, right? And of course, remember, the communists are coming. The communists are coming. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, a little too late for that one. I guess, well, military better invade San Francisco. The communists are there. Oh, what? No, we don't have places such as Chinatown anywhere, right? Oh, we don't have any defectors from North Korea, Russia, or other places deemed as communist countries, right? Oh, there's never been Nazi influence within this country, right, NASA? Uh-huh. So much falsehoods and fakery to the history of this country, and we are being programmed to celebrate nonsense. I told you. I've told you for quite some time that, well, you would be hearing me speaking more about this fake day. Because once again, it is not until your enemies say, okay, yeah, you have claimed your independence, and signed treaties and agreements that, okay, we'll go ahead and hand over control to you guys now. You've made your point. And when did our European brothers in history come to the table and sign those independence agreements? It was not 1776. And remember, the final signature to the Declaration of Independence did not happen until 1777 or 1778. Again, a false narrative to the official Declaration of Independence. Wow. And more sounds of aircraft. Alright, that's enough ranting. At least for now. Skyways out.